Welcome to Deep Roots, Open Skies, a podcast dedicated to exploring the defining moments that shape our lives. I'm your host, Lakisa. Today, we will be talking about a topic that's close to my heart and stomach. My journey from a meat-eating carnivore to a dedicated vegetarian. Buckle up, folks. It's a story full of twists, turns, and maybe a few puns here and there. It's time to turn over a new leaf, quite literally. So grab your forks and let's dig in. So let's set the scene. A T-bone steak in one hand, a side of fries in the other, and a love for a juicy cheeseburger that could rival any pitmaster. I was the queen of the clean plate club. If I didn't finish my food, I felt like I was letting my taste buds down, you know what I mean? But here's the twist. I always knew when to leave a little on my plate. It was my unconventional method of weight control. My motto, why not enjoy it, but keep it in check? Little did I know, this would lead me to a very different kind of plate, if you know what I mean. Now, my decision to become a vegetarian wasn't because I suddenly had a spiritual awakening or a health epiphany. No, it all started as a personal challenge. I thought, how long can I go without meat? 3 days? Let's see. Well, spoiler alert. It's been over 8 years now. The year I decided to go vegetarian, I took my first step by cutting out pork entirely. And trust me, that was a big deal. But not life-threatening because I wasn't a huge pork enthusiast. I loved bacon, but still, well, hot dogs and ribs, you name it. I devoured it. But I thought, if I can conquer this, I can conquer anything. Then I experimented with seafood. I mean, how hard could it be? Well, after about a month of fish and salmon, I quickly realized I was not the mermaid I thought I was. The ocean just wasn't calling my name. So back to land I went. But then something changed. A friend of mine insisted I watch What the Health. I was skeptical, but after just 1 week of watching, I was hooked, no pun intended. I started to feel the shift, but I didn't fully commit until my brother mentioned this thing called a Daniel fast. It was a kind of secret mission I had. He didn't even know I was joining him on this journey. Talk about sibling solidarity. Now, here's the upside of starting a vegetarian lifestyle later in life. You know what meat tastes like. There's no mystery there. I was once a meat and potato girl, remember? So I got creative. I learned how to season tofu and mushrooms to mimic the flavor of a juicy steak. Seriously, I could grill a mushroom like it was a prime cut of meat. And I'm pretty sure my neighbors started to wonder if I was throwing a barbecue or just having an existential crisis. Of course, my journey wasn't all gourmet meals and culinary triumphs. Let me tell you about the first time I attempted to cook a vegetarian meal. I went all out. I bought every ingredient I could find, thinking I was about to create a masterpiece. I followed the recipe to the letter. But when I took the first bite, I was met with a flavor that can only be described as a culinary masterpiece. It was so nasty that I was freaking frustrated. I ended up throwing it all away in a fit of rage, thinking, what have I done? I could hardly believe that I spent all that time and money on that abomination. As I started off with processed vegetarian foods, Think of it as my training wheels. But as time went on, I began to explore fresh vegetables, grains, and all those colorful items in the produce aisles that I once overlooked. But as time went on, I began to explore those fresh grains and started looking at those colorful items in the produce aisles. And hey, at least I learned my lesson and figured out how to create creative flavors after that. And also, speaking of fresh vegetables, I've always dreamed of growing my own. So I've been doing my research, and growing your own vegetables can be incredibly rewarding, both for your health and your wallet. If you're just starting out, there are several easy vegetables that are perfect for beginners. Here are a few. Lettuce. Leafy greens like lettuce are quick to grow and can't be harvested continuously, or can be, I'm sorry. You can start them in pots or directly in the ground. Radishes. These are one of the fastest growing vegetables, typically ready to harvest in just about 30 days. And they don't require much space and can be grown in containers. Tomatoes. While they require a bit more care, you might notice that they are one of the most popular among home gardeners. You can choose varieties like the smaller ones, cherry tomatoes, if space is limited. You have zucchini. This vegetable is prolific and can yield a lot from just a few plants. It's also relatively easy to grow, making it a great choice for beginners. Carrots can be sown directly into the ground and require minimum maintenance, making them a fun option to grow. Now, I have a lot of deer out here. I don't want them in my carrots, so that might be one I might put to the side. You have herbs. Don't forget about herbs. Basil, parsley, and cilantro are great choices that can enhance your cooking and are easy to grow in pots or in your own garden. So you don't need a large garden to start. Even a small balcony or windowsill can accommodate a few pots. Plus, there's something special about picking your own vegetables and knowing exactly where your food comes from. Now, let's talk about the health aspect for a moment. A lot of folks wonder if being a vegetarian is really healthier. While it can be, it's all about balance. You still need to ensure you're getting essential nutrients like protein, iron, and vitamins. For example, plant-based sources of protein include beans, lentils, and tofu. Iron can be found in foods like spinach, chickpeas, and fortified cereals. It's important to pair these with vitamin C-rich foods like citrus fruits to enhance absorption. It's not just about saying no meat. It's about saying yes to a variety of foods that nourish your body. And hey, if you're ever feeling a little lost, there are heaps of resources out there to guide you. And that's what I did. I went all over the place. YouTube, the library. I Googled information. Now, it's important to note that iron from plant sources is non-heme iron, which isn't absorbed as well as the heme iron found in animal products. So to improve the iron absorption, pair these iron-rich foods with vitamin-rich foods like bell peppers and oranges. And this can significantly enhance a lot more iron in your body so it can absorb. So before starting your vegetarian diet, make sure you know what you can include within this. Before I started my vegetarian diet, I didn't mention it to my doctor, however. I felt relatively healthy, but I learned later that it's always a good idea to seek a doctor's advice, especially if you have any health concerns. A healthcare professional can help ensure you're making the right choices for your body and guide you in getting the nutrients you need. For instance, according to health professionals, individuals considering a major dietary change, such as vegetarianism, should consult with their doctor or a registered dietitian. This can help ensure that the new diet meets your nutritional needs and that any underlying health issues you may not know are addressed. In fact, research shows that a well-balanced vegetarian diet can offer numerous health benefits, It can lower the risk of heart disease, high pressure, blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers. Additionally, I hear that vegetarian diets are often lower in saturated fat and cholesterol, which can contribute to overall better health. Now, let's talk about calcium and vitamin D. Calcium is crucial for bone health, and vegetarians obtain it from plant-based sources like fortified plant milks, leafy greens, and tofu. I always say the greener the leaf, the better it is. However, it's also important to consider vitamin D, which helps with calcium absorption. You can get vitamin D from fortified foods and, of course, sunlight. So don't forget to soak up some of those rays. But why do you feel people begin or become vegetarians in the first place? For some, it's ethical reasons, concerns about animal welfare. For others, it's about health or maybe even environmental concerns. Personally, it was a little bit of everything, wrapped in a challenge that turned into a passion. According to the United Nations, the livestock sector generates more greenhouse gas emission than all cars, trucks, and automobiles combined. So choosing a vegetarian lifestyle can significantly reduce your footprint. And let's talk about the numbers for a moment. The amount of water required to produce animal products is staggering. It takes significantly more water to raise livestock than to grow crops for direct human consumption. For instance, producing 1 pound of beef can require upwards of 1,800 gallons of water, while on the flip side, growing a pound of vegetables typically uses just a fraction of that. And this is essential because consider when thinking about the environmental impact of our food choices. Now let's rewind a bit and talk about something that shocked me along this journey: the prices of vegetarian food. Do you know it costs more to be healthy than not? When I ventured into this lifestyle, I was stunned to see how high the prices could be. Have you ever noticed that a pound of kale can cost more than a pound of ground beef? I mean, what gives? And don't even get me started on organic products. Sometimes I felt like I was about to sign a mortgage for a carton of almond milk. Dining out was another hurdle. If you walk into a restaurant as a vegetarian or vegan for that matter, you're often met with the same old options: salads, French fries, and if you're lucky, a veggie burger that looks like it's been through the ringer. I can't tell you how many times I've scanned a menu only to find my choices as limited as a kid's summer reading list. But I found that some restaurants are becoming more accommodating to various dietary needs. It never hurts to ask your waitress what dish she recommends for a vegetarian. You might be surprised by what they whip up. And speaking of limited options, let's talk about traveling. It can be a real challenge when you're a vegetarian. Our trips don't just be a couple of hours. We're talking about 10-hour journeys or even longer when we're on road trips. This requires being strategic in your travel plans. You find yourself eating whatever or wherever the car stops. And let me tell you, McDonald's has no vegetarian options. I'll order a sandwich with no meat, but keep the lettuce, onions, and pickles. It was a sad sight, let me tell you. In fact, I've often found myself staring longingly at the burger options while trying to piece together something edible from the limited size. It's a real challenge to navigate menus that seem designed solely for meat lovers. Sure, you can get a salad, but let's be honest, sometimes you just want something hearty and satisfying. You understand what I mean? To make things easier, I've learned that planning ahead is key. Before hitting the road, I now take the time to research restaurants along the route. Apps and websites that cater to dietary needs have become my best friend. They can highlight places that offer vegetarian or even vegan options, giving me a glimmer of hope for decent meals while I'm on the go. I was fortunate during one of our travels through Nashville, where I found several vegetarian and vegan options at many restaurants. The only problem was that these finds weren't right off the highway. They were several miles off the exit, which wasn't exactly exciting for my husband, who was the driver. Let's just say there were a few eye rolls and intense sighs as we navigated our way to the deliciousness I was craving. But once we arrived, it was totally worth it. Thankfully, I've started bringing my own snacks for the road, like skinny popcorn, almonds, and fresh fruits. These not only keep me full for a moment, but also save me from the temptation of unhealthy fast food. I also like to pack some trail mix or energy bars, things that are portable and can withstand the heat of a car during long stretches. It's crucial to have a stash of snacks, especially when traveling through areas where vegetarian options are scarce. I've had times where I was so grateful for my carefully packed snacks, as they saved me from going hungry during those stretches with no decent food options in sight. The only thing is, those meat eaters want my snacks too. However, whether you're driving through remote areas or just passing through towns that don't cater to vegetarians, having a good supply of snacks can make all the difference. But still, the struggle is real. There are moments when I find myself dreaming of a delicious meal back home, and it can be frustrating. Yet these experiences has also taught me to be adaptable and creative with my food choices, which is just another part of this journey. And to all my listeners out there, I want to encourage you to try a vegetarian dish, whether it's experimenting with a new recipe at home or visiting a vegetarian restaurant you've never been to. Stepping out of your comfort zone can lead to some delightful surprises. You never know what amazing flavors you might discover. Tried to bring my family along for the ride, thinking I could convert them to my new veggie lifestyle. After all, I'm the cook in the house. But guess what? It only worked on one of my daughters. The others, not so much. So there I was, left cooking separate meals like a short order cook in a diner. And would you have given up at that point? I had to ask myself, am I really going to put in the extra work just to stick to my new veggie lifestyle? But here's the thing. Every time I felt overwhelmed, I remember why I started this journey. I didn't want to just eat vegetarian food. I wanted to embrace a new way of living. That's the key. And I became determined to make it work, even if it meant cooking 2 meals every night. Now, I have to admit, I can't fully be a vegan because I absolutely love cheese. It's my guilty pleasure, and I won't apologize for it. When I visit friends or family, I don't force them to accommodate my dietary choices. Instead, I make sure I've eaten well before I leave the house. But you know what? Some people have been incredibly kind and offered vegetarian meals to me. And those experiences have been wonderful. And I'm lucky. My mom is a culinary wizard who makes sure my dietary choices are taken care of whenever I visit her. Now let's talk about soul food. I grew up with some rich, hearty dishes that are typically meat heavy, but I've learned to put a vegetarian spin on them. For example, let's take the good old-fashioned collard greens, one of my favorites. Instead of cooking them with a ham hock or a turkey, try using smoked paprika or liquid smoke to get that rich, deep flavor without the meat, and just let it simmer. And for that classic comforting mac and cheese, swap the cheese for a blend of nutritional yeast, cashews, and spices to create a creamy, cheesy vibe without the dairy. And add some coconut cream for richness. Oh, child, you got you something that will not get you kicked out of the family cookout. And let's not forget about fried chicken. You can make a delightful vegan version by using cauliflower or tofu, marinated in buttermilk or plant-based alternative, and then breaded and fried to a crispy perfection. Trust me, your family won't even know the difference. Now let's get into some practical tips. If you're looking for easy, quick vegetarian recipes to whip up after work, I got a 5-day plan that would keep you satisfied without spending hours in the kitchen. Here we go. Day 1, veggie stir fry. Ingredients: mixed vegetables like bell peppers, broccoli and carrots, tofu, soy sauce, and rice. Saute those vegetables and tofu in a pan with a splash of soy sauce. Serve over rice, cooked rice. Quick, colorful, and full of flavor, I tell you. For your day 2, chickpea salad. Your ingredients you will use would be canned chickpeas, cherry tomatoes, cucumbers, red onions, olive oil, lemon juice, salt and pepper. Rinse and drain the chickpea. Mix all ingredients in a bowl, drizzle with olive oil and lemon juice, and season to taste. It's so refreshing and perfect for a warm evening. And then you got your day 3 veggie tacos. You're going to use corn tortillas, black beans, avocado, salsa, and shredded lettuce. Warm the tortillas, layer with black bean, avocado, salsa, and lettuce. Simply satisfying, and you can customize with your favorite toppings. And then you have pasta primavera, whole grain pasta, seasoning with vegetables like zucchini and asparagus, garlic, olive oil, and Parmesan cheese. If you're not fully vegan, cook the pasta according to the pasta instructions. Saute garlic and vegetables in olive oil, toss with pasta and sprinkle with Parmesan. Easy and delicious. And your day 5 will be your veggie curry. Ingredients: mixed vegetables, coconut milk, curry paste, and rice. You're going to saute the vegetables in a pot, add the coconut milk and curry paste, simmer until the veggies are tender. Serve with rice, and that's a warm hug in a bowl, baby. So there you have it. 5 easy meals that can be made after a long day at work. Embrace these recipes and feel free to tweak them to your taste. Plan ahead on the weekend before. You'll have a whole week's plan of vegetarian meals. Now, as I navigated this journey, I realized that it's all about creativity and finding ways to keep those traditional flavors alive while embracing a vegetarian lifestyle. It's not just about you give up. It's about what you gain, like new skills in the kitchen, a broader palate, and even inspiring healthier choices in my family. So here's the takeaway. Whether you're considering going vegetarian or just want to incorporate more plant-based meals into your diet, don't let the price tags or limited options discourage you. Embrace the challenge. Experiment with flavors. Explore new recipes. And remember that every meal is an opportunity to nourish your body and soul. If you got your own vegetarian journey or soul food twist to share, I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and maybe even share your vegetarian journey with me. Until next time, keep those roots deep and the skies wide open. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Deep Roots, Open Skies. Until next time, embrace your journey and keep exploring the possibilities.